Hi Aries, welcome to your weekly love reading. I hope you're doing well. There's a lot showing up in your energy this week, so take what resonates and leave the rest. Okay, Aries, let's see what Spirit wants to reveal about your love life this week. So we have the Ten of Swords, the Seven of Swords, the Hermit, Knight of Wands, Strength, the World, Queen of Swords, Two of Cups, the Page of Coin, and the final card is the Moon. You know, the overall theme is the Page of Coins, and to me, especially in a love reading, this is telling you to keep your eyes open this week. Make sure that you have all of the knowledge that you need, maybe in order to make a decision or about your love life or about a partner. And it could be that there's a partner that you're just kind of like studying this week to see if this person is a good fit for you, or what kind of future you can have with them, or if they can give you the future that you want. So this means that you're studying and you're kind of gathering information, you're gathering knowledge, but you start off with this message here, the Ten of Swords. And you know, this is your first card, and I kind of feel like you're coming into the week with this energy. It could be that in the previous week there was a painful breakup, something that really kind of hurt you emotionally, maybe even mentally. And this is the suit of air. The Ten of Swords is like a betrayal, and it's hard to trust again, and it's hard to move on. And you're kind of, you know, there's fear around this card. There's fear that you're going to relive this experience, so you don't want to move on. But the Ten of Swords is always a message that it's time for you to leave the past in the past. I mean, this is a 10, and after a 10 is a new beginning. I do feel like for those of you where you're just kind of like stuck in some type of like mindset where so-and-so betrayed me, you know, you do have the Moon here. You know, this could be the betrayal that happened. The Moon does represent somebody not being completely honest with you. Somebody is lying to you, somebody to cheat, someone is misrepresenting themselves in some way. So it could be that you've already kind of lived this and now it's hard for you to move on. But the Ten of Swords is always a message that you've already learned something, you had some type of learning experience, and you need to move on. I feel like some of you may not be ready to do this. With the message like the Seven of Swords right next to it, the Seven of Swords does represent, I mean, it could represent that someone is lying to you. It could even be that this is what happened here. I mean, you do have two cards in the Moon and the Seven of Swords that can be read as deceit. Of course, it's not going to apply to everyone, but could really know that that is why you have this energy of the Ten of Swords, where you're just kind of finding it hard to trust and move on because there's been so much kind of deceit in your love life. Somebody was just not who you thought they were. Well, the Seven of Swords can mean deceit, but it could also mean that you're lying to yourself. And the Moon can also mean that. It's a general reading, so it's hard to say. So I feel like, you know, with the Seven of Swords, yeah, I am getting like this feeling that you need to be careful, especially with a message like the Page of Coins here telling you to pay attention, keep your eyes open, study people, any new people that come into your life this week. Make sure, especially if you're just getting over a betrayal, make sure that they are who they say they are, who you think they are. Because the Seven of Swords can mean that someone's being sneaky, that there are things you don't know about the person, they have skeletons in their closet. But like I said, for some of you, it could mean that, you know, you're being your own worst enemy by not moving on. And then you have the Hermit, a major arcana, and this is you, you know, trying to really like understand what is going on in your love life. So I feel like there's something that has happened where you don't understand, you know, coming back to the Moon, there's something that has happened where you don't really know. And with the Moon, there is like information that is hidden from you. Like maybe you don't know why somebody left. You don't know why somebody lied to you or misrepresented themselves. You don't know something. When the moon comes up, something is hidden from you. And the only way to really know what is hidden from you is to really reflect on it. And that is the energy of the Hermit. So I feel like for some of you, you might be taking a breather from a relationship because you want to know what is going on. You want to know what this person is all about. You're studying someone. You could even be studying yourself or your love life, looking at patterns. So this is like soul searching and trying to get some answers, but spiritual insight on what is happening in your love life. Now, over here we have the Knight of Wands. And this could be you because you are a fire sign. But the Knight of Wands, it just represents like fiery energy. I feel like, there's this part of you that, that doesn't want to move on, but there's this part of you that is just kind of like restless. This is like restless energy, like pent up inside of you, like you're roaring and ready to go. So the Knight of Wands sometimes does represent somebody coming into your life who is like a knight in shining armor. They move you from a negative situation or from like an oppressive person. And it could be this person who has been, lying to you in some way, misrepresenting themselves. So this could be you, or this could be someone new coming into your life, or just kind of like this like restless energy inside of you, like you want change and you want movement. But I feel like, there's a part of you also that like wants to be alone and like really get some answers as far as, what happened in a relationship, or what is preventing you from moving on, what is really going on in your love life. You also have the Strength card, which means there could be, some fears that come up for you this week. The moon also represents fears, so that, it's here 2 times. We have it twice. Strength, means that there could be some negative inner chatter. I mean, we already kind of see that with the other messages. Strength just means that you have to be really, strong spiritually, strong and brave, because either you will be kind of having some negative inner chatter, or there could be someone around you, it could be your partner, that is being pessimistic or in some way kind of bringing negative energy into the relationship. So you might have to be really compassionate and forgiving again, but studying the relationship, really kind of looking at what's going on here. This doesn't mean that you're forgetting or ignoring whatever it is that they're doing to keep the peace, but it does mean that you're not going to be sucked into this negative energy. And you're going to be living more from your higher self and less from your ego. But I do feel like somebody will be pushing your buttons with this card being here. It's either going to be someone around you, or it's going to be like your own ego trying to get you to in some way like lash out at someone or do something that's not so positive. Now, you also have the World. So this is, like very similar to the energy of the Ten of Swords. This is an ending. So the World is just telling you, if something ends this week, like it's not the end of the world, and it's not anything that you're going to miss out on something, because the World is actually an extremely positive card of victory, of graduation. You've succeeded one phase in your life and you're ready to move on. Like I said, the exact meaning of the Ten of Swords, you're ready to move on. Nothing is stopping you from moving on except maybe fear. So I feel like here you might be kind of wrapping up, a relationship, karma with someone, maybe even a phase in your life. You will be doing some soul searching according to the Hermit and the Page of Coins, really kind of gathering knowledge about another person or yourself so that you can move on. Well, this is a strong energy because it is a major arcana. It's time to like break the cycle in some way, either in a relationship or within you. It's time to move on. Now you also have down here, you have the Queen of Swords. So this could be someone, male or female, who is an air sign, but she represents like truth and clarity and seeing everything as it is. And I feel like something's going on where you may not have that. So I feel like, with the Queen of Swords, they're saying I'm hearing you have to be practical. We do have the Page of Coins telling you to check all your facts, even if you may feel someone's being dishonest with you. but make sure that you really know that. Don't go on your fears. But the Queen of Swords does represent, clear thinking, being objective, not getting too caught up in your emotions and seeing things as they really are. And you have the Two of Cups. So this is, the soulmate card. This is a loving relationship. This is two people feeling a bond, almost like a twin flame relationship, like a telepathic bond. You just feel like, this is the person for you. And I just feel like there's a lot of confusion around this relationship, whether this is, your spouse or your significant other, or just like, a love that you want to bring into your life. There's confusion. There's confusion and there's lack of clarity. I mean, literally you have the moon right next to it, which means that when it comes to either your partner or your love life, there's something that you don't know. It may not be, that it's about the person. It could be, especially for those who are single, something, about your love life is not clear to you. That's why we have, the Queen of Swords down here saying, see everything as it is. You need to see the truth behind situation. For some of you, this could be that you need to forget the past. I mean, that has been a strong theme in this reading, letting the past go. But this is, a very committed relationship. Okay, so you have the Two of Swords, the Hierophant, one more, King of Wands, and you have the World again, another ending. So you have 3 endings in this reading, but it just means that it's if anything, it's a victory. The World is the ultimate victory card, where you've succeeded, you've graduated from one phase in your life to the other, but for some of you, you may not realize that. So let's start here. The Two of Swords, this is the energy of like being in a sticky place, being in a difficult place where you're kind of like on the spot. You're being put on the spot by the universe. You have to make a decision that's not easy. And that could be to move on. I mean, it's right next to the Ten of Swords. So this is a decision that is so difficult for you to make. You may be choosing between 2 people, 2 outcomes, but this is something where you are stuck until you deal with something, until you face something that you don't want to think about, you don't want to see. And it could be, seeing it with the Seven of Swords, could be that you're being your own worst enemy by not, not cutting yourself loose from something that's holding you back. The Two of Swords is just like you have to face something even though you don't want to. And then you have the Hierophant. So this could be, for some of you, this could represent marriage. This could also represent kindred spirits, soulmate. This is, kind of a pull towards people that you belong with, just like we mentioned here with the Two of Cups. I feel like, your, spirit team, your angels, your guides are, they guiding you towards someone, a soulmate or a twin flame, and you're feeling that pull, like you want to be with someone that you resonate with, someone who you feel gets you and you get them. Well, the Hierophant is also, a strong spiritual pull. You might feel really guided towards spirituality when it comes to your love life and really kind of watching the signs. And then you have the King of Wands. This could be you again, since you are a fire sign. It could even be another fire sign. Whenever I see this card, it always gets me that there's a longing in here, and it makes me think of the Strength card. It could be that, again, you have to be really brave and confront something that you don't want to confront. But the King of Wands is, again, very fiery energy. So I feel like, there's a possibility of you taking control and not putting up with like all of these, weird things going on in this reading of like, the past and some people not being honest. And I mean, the King of Wands would get to the truth of what's going on in his life, and he would take action. So I feel like this is exactly what they're asking you guys to do, especially with a card like the Two of Swords here. It's like nothing's going to happen until you take action. And like I said, the World is here 2 times. That's not a bad thing. If anything, it's, victory 2 times. But it is, time to acknowledge that, it's time to move on to a different phase in your life. Okay, Aries, I will end the reading here. I hope you enjoyed it. Much love and bless.